right, time to take a look at the DURATECH Auto Darkening Welding Helmet. Okay, so we got our instructions. And there is the helmet. So the first thing I noticed is the nice big viewing area. So that's going to make welding a heck of a lot easier. I also really just like the colors and the design of the thing. It looks like all the controls are here on the left side. So we got the shade. So if you need this thing to be darker, we can just turn that thing to the right. If you want it to be a little bit lighter, we can turn that thing to the left. It's usually a good idea to start this to the right. And then if you're having trouble seeing, then lighten it up. We have grind, cut, and weld. So that's going to allow us to select the darkness level that it's going to set it at whenever we're welding. So what that can actually be good for is if you're doing a lot of welding and then grinding, you can set this to weld for when you're welding. So it's going to be nice and dark. And then you don't even have to take the helmet off. You can just set it straight to grind and you can go right to grinding so you can still see. So nice to have that. We also have the delay switch, and it's important to note that this is for dark to light, not for light to dark. So what that can be good for is if you're welding along and you know that you're going to pick it up here and you're going to put it back down here, you can put this to slow, and so that's going to stay dark so you don't have to worry about this thing flashing on and off on you. It'll just stay there. So very nice to have. And then we also have our sensitivity. So very cool. On the inside, we have full-on foam padding. So that's great. You can always appreciate it when I actually have a comfortable helmet. Then we got our lens, and over here on the left, we got a spot for our battery. So if you ever need to replace it, nice and easy to do that. And that is a CR2450. So if we take off this, and now we can see we got the solar panels on the bottom as well as on the top, which is great because no matter what angle you're pointing this thing at, you're always going to get that darkening, so you don't have to worry about that. So that battery connects through this wire to this lens, and if we want to remove that, we got a couple of little sliders right here on the bottom. And we can just pull this whole thing up. So from here we can see we got this little slot right here, which is great. So you can actually throw a cheater lens in there. So if you want to be able to step back a little bit, but you still want to see up close, you can throw one of those things in there, and that can make your life a lot easier. We also have a test button up here. Okay, cool. So we can actually see if we look through this. So we can actually make sure that this thing is working. And that is. So that's very good. So we'll throw that guy in. Just kind of clips in on the top. Press down and slide these back out. So let's go ahead and get a few welds in and see how well this thing actually works. Actually extremely easy to see through. The biggest thing I could say about this is that you can actually see through this thing extremely well. And by that what I mean is there's a lot of electronic welding helmets where when you're trying to actually focus on what you're looking at, it's just too dark, but then there's just sparks in the middle. This one is just as good as a solid dark glass, and having that with the automatic darkening, like, this is a fantastic helmet.